am Ryan Hidari with another episode of the Sex, Lives, and Lawyers. We have Dr. Leslie here today, and let's go and talk, Doctor. Welcome to the show. Can you
Thank
introduce
you.
yourself a little bit and what you do?
Sure. Yes. My name is Leslie Kalyn. I am a doctor in nursing practice. Trained as a nurse practitioner, practiced in primary care and pulmonary medicine, all sorts of different specialties for many years as an NP. Right now, I'm partnered with a clinic, Trim Care. I'm developing their med spa side. I did med spa a lot in past years, so I do business development for medical practices, and I have my own lifestyle consulting business. I help people transform their lives, and basically I'm a freedom facilitator. I help people become authentically badasses of their life, to just live.
Your education is in the nursing or you're the MD?
No. So I have a doctor in nursing practice.
Oh, doctor nursing
Yes,
practice.
and
okay.
so I'm one of those doctor nurses, as people
Doctor
talk
nurses,
about. Yeah.
yes.
So a DNP.
Rarely we see that someone gets a doctorate, actually.
Yeah,
in
yep,
nursing.
yeah. So I elected to get my doctor in nursing practice. I know there's like a lot of pushback. A lot of MDs hate that nurses have now doctoral degrees, and it's the standard now, just like pharmacists now required to have a PharmD. Yep. So we have a DNP, pharmacists have a PharmD. So I elected to get my doctor in nursing practice because I wanted to get out of clinical practice and start building businesses, my own and other medical practices. So I've worked as a chief operating officer for a multidisciplinary surgical practice. Was chief medical officer for a 181-bed drug rehab facility in town. And now I work...
How long have you been in Vegas?
Gosh, I've been in Vegas for 17 years.
17 years.
Yeah, I moved right from Canada, got off the boat, and
Across the border?
yeah,
Which city
across the border.
in Canada?
Edmonton, Alberta. Yeah, Oilers, Edmonton Oilers hockey game. Yes.
That's cool. And what brought you to Vegas?
I came to Vegas. I immigrated with my husband at the time. He had a tourism and transportation company. So we had an American who bought into the business so we could legally work here. And then through my nurse practitioner, we were able to get our green cards.
Okay, so you graduated from a school, actually, doctorate in Canada or here?
No,
in
my
US?
undergraduate in nursing. It was a 4-year bachelor's degree in Canada. And then I did my master's degree here in family nursing practice at the UNLV. And then I also got my doctoral degree here.
Okay, and right now you're having your own podcast as well, yes?
I do, the
okay.
Next Level podcast with Dr.
Yes.
Leslie. Yeah.
What's that about?
That
Tell us
is about, it's a personal development-esque podcast. So I've taken all of my crazy wild experiences that I've had through medicine and my own personal journey and spirituality and my journey of just mastering myself and creating the life that I want, and wanted to help people be inspired by other people's stories and experiences and bring experts on to share their practical approach to their success in all aspects of life: health, well-being, spirituality, personal development, finances, whatever it is, at a very practical level. I'm always about practicality. That's my science nursing brain. Everything is about take the big picture, analyze it, and come up with some very good fundamental interventions to get people to make the change. So that's what my podcast is about.
And do you practice at your place as well, this kind of thing, or is just a podcast? Do you help people in your office or a clinic?
So I have my lifestyle consulting. I do via Zoom. So I have clients all over the place. That's separate from the work that I do at the clinic. I do practice 2 days a week right now, doing the injectables and doing wellness and some coaching on site. But most of they're two kind of separate things. I've diversifying my streams of income and my skill set. I have so many different skills that I want to be able to
exercise.
exercise.
Injectables, what's that?
Botox, fillers,
Oh, okay.
cosmetic things. Yeah, in fact, a couple of our podcast hosts here, I've done their faces. You'll see them the next time you see them. For actually the fitness junkies. So Gio, I did a bunch of work on his face
Wow.
And he looks fantastic. We shaved about
It
15
doesn't
years
look
off.
like that. He got it.
It's natural,
Imagine.
but when you see his before pictures, you can tell.
Oh, okay.
Give it some time.
It looks good.
He does. He does look very good. Yeah.
That's
So,
interesting. So right now, what's the name of your clinic?
so it's Trim Care, but we're rebranding it as MD Spa by Trim Care. So we're actually 2 weeks away from rolling that out. I'm still seeing clients right now under the Trim Care name, but we're just going through rebranding, and we're eventually going to get another location. So we're looking at having a completely separate med spa instead of having it all on site. So
And where is
we're
it located?
It's on Jones and Reno. So Jones and
Reno.
Tropicana.
Okay, Tropicana.
Yeah, so people
Yes.
can come see me there. I have a growing male clientele that I'm seeing. So
For the injectables?
for injectables, yeah. So what's happening in the world, and I'm sure you're enlightened to this because of some of the guests you've had on your show. There's been this big movement with women to want to be empowered, and they're, not dating in the same way, and they're initiating divorces and all that sort of thing. And there's less, this is all research. So I've been looking at the research in this. Less women are going to dating sites. They're not wanting traditional marriages. They're not wanting to kind of get into that because many women are unhappy and not as healthy in marriages when they're not at a level that a woman is to her standard, which is becoming more and more challenged because of the evolution and the desires of females. So what's ending up happening is that more men are going on these dating sites wanting to date, and women are not there. So men are coming to me saying, how do I become more eligible? And so this is actually, there's data.
It's a competition.
Yeah, it's they're wanting to be, guys in their 50s and above. I'm seeing an enormous amount, actually some in their mid 40s too, depending on where they're sitting
How
in
they
there.
look, and-
Yeah, how much work they need, how hard they've been on themselves in life. And so there's been this growing trend in aesthetics that men are wanting to get these procedures done. And I'm just like, why? What is happening? What is changing in the world that men are starting to want to do this? And I've sort of put the puzzle pieces together. A lot of it is driven by their ineligibility, or they're trying to be eligible and finding a mate or someone just to
That's interesting. trend.
have sex with. Sex, lies, and lawyers,
That's very interesting trend. Yeah.
Yep.
So during these times that you had the podcast, do you had any legal issues? Actually, you said lawyers. Tell me about your.
Not during the podcast. I don't have any legal issues with the podcast, but I have had some in my own past. Yes.
Okay, some kind. What kind?
Yeah. So when I was working at a psych facility, I was just finishing up my doctoral degree. I was going through a really, really nasty divorce. I didn't have my family here. They were all in Canada. I had 2 young kids. Never had been on my own. I had met my ex-husband when I was 19. Only ever worked, school, babies, didn't even have friends. My friends were his friends. So the divorce was like, even though I initiated it, I didn't know how to handle him and his wrath and do it all by myself without friend support. So I was working in this place, and I started dating one of the physicians in my practice. And without getting into all the emotional kind of crazy stuff of it, he was doing some very not nice things with the pharmacist that was calling on our office with my prescriptions. And he would give me envelopes of money on my desk. I would show up there'd be envelopes on my desk, and I didn't know where they were coming from. He's like, "Oh, honey, you work so hard. You're going through divorce here. This money is for you." I'm from Canada, okay? We leave our doors unlocked. Like, I had my blinders on. Like, I was like, this is very weird, but I'm like, okay, like, I don't need your money. You don't have to give me money. I'm doing well. No, honey, it's okay. Like, just take it. It's okay. Okay, fuck. Like, what am I supposed to do with an envelope of like $500 or $1,000? Like, I took it. I didn't
Why giving
think.
the money?
Well, I mean, I honestly, genuinely thought that he cared. I believed him that he was wanting to be like I have my 2 little kids, and we were going to be planning on a trip to go to Disney. So he's like, here, you can get an upgraded hotel, and you can spend an extra day. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's kind of nice. So I didn't realize until a couple months in, and I had received just a couple of envelopes in like a couple of month period of time. And my boss came to me and was like, are you involved in this kickback scheme? Like, all of a sudden I found out that all these prescriptions you were writing, you've racked up all this stuff. And I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. So because I was working with this, he was also a nurse practitioner. I'm like, what's happening? Like, what's going on? And I was very angry because I'm like, I can't lose my job. My boss is like fucking mad at me and whatever. And the flip switched. And he's like, yep, that's right. I've been involved in this kickback scheme and we've been using your prescriptions. And if you say anything, I'm going to tell everyone that you knew because you got money. And I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And this nice guy all of a sudden turned into something.
He was using your prescription pad?
Yeah. So when I was prescribing, they came to me because I was a doctor in nursing practice. I was trying to
you
create.
Could write the prescription.
Yeah, I was trying to create a medical home for the clients at this psych facility, because mental health is near and dear to my heart. I did both my master's and my doctoral program studies in mental health. I chose to do a study for my master's instead of doing a capstone because I wanted to do research in mental health. So I worked in this psych facility or this outpatient psych. I was hired to create a medical home, a primary care home for these homeless, dual diagnosis, sick people. I thought I was doing a good thing, right? Yay! I was like, I'm gonna bring these people in. We're gonna get. I wanted to get them off of their pain medications. I wanted to get them lower on their Xanax because those were like huge things that they were abusing. But they were homeless, so I didn't know how to do it. In the beginning, the guy that I was dating, one of the nurse practitioners, he said, oh, I know a guy that can help you with this. We totally got it covered. I'm like, okay. So I'm being innovative, trying to help someone, trusting the person that I worked with and was having a romantic relationship with. He brings me this pharmacist and he's like, oh yeah, I can, if you give them lidocaine and you do Monafidil and you do this, you'll be able to pull them off their pain medications or lower it, and this will help them with their mood, and then you can pull them off of their Xanax.
The pharmacist actually was introduced to you by that person that was giving you money to you.
Yes, and I was like, oh, okay, well, this makes so much sense. Like, and you're going to deliver to my homeless people? Like, this is...
But they were not delivering the...
No, they were. Yeah, so they were doing exactly what they said. Everything was right.
The pharmacy was doing it, actually, delivering the
medication. They did everything. He did it. What the problem was...
But they were giving a kickback for writing those, actually.
They were giving the guy that I was dating the money because I didn't find out
because he got you on board, for example.
Yes. I didn't find this out until after I was indicted on 8 charges. I think 8 charges. I don't remember anymore. No, 4. I think 4 of them were conspiracy. 4 of them were Medicare, Medicaid fraud. They wanted to put me away for 5 years. I fought for 2.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Because...
Well, you survived that. Yeah.
I did. But the problem was, I didn't know any of this. I didn't know any of the behind the scenes shit. And it was way deep. What those 2 and other people were doing was way more than this tiny little scheme that they had going in the office. The problem that got me into the legal trouble was because I found out and I approached him and I didn't stop prescribing. I ended up with a felony for basically kickbacks, illegal remuneration. So because I was afraid for my life and my children's life, and I had the text.
You had to do a plea
I had the text messages of him threatening me multiple times. He had me delete a lot out of the phone, but when I was in Mexico with my brother, he had said some really fucking horrible shit to me that totally incriminated him, but saved my ass. And the judge was very understanding, and he saw, like, I'm from Canada. Like, I wasn't involved. The people that they talked to, they all knew that I was not involved, but I knew, and I still had to participate.
When was
it? So this happened in 2017. I finally settled in 2020. 2020 in October. I was on supervision for a year, or it was supposed to be for 3
But
years.
no criminal
I do.
conviction.
I have a felony.
You have a
I
felony?
do have a felony. Yes.
Wow. But
So
still you have a license.
yes, I
But
have
it's
my
under
license.
supervisional. Yeah, it should be under probation or something.
Yeah, I'm under supervision, but the issue for me that I can all take care of, and those
It goes
aren't
away.
federal felonies do not. So I have I think it's a class B or C. God, I don't even remember. It's been so long since I've actually thought about it. But the problem for me is because I'm a green card, I never really wanted to get my citizenship because I was told by some other Canadians, I had never checked this at the time, but I wasn't really eager to not get my American citizenship because if I wanted to ever do business in other countries, there would be tax
Taxing,
implications. So
it's still, as a green card holder, you are taxed.
yeah, but not the same way from my understanding if you have businesses in other countries. I don't know.
So.
Maybe someone can
I
fact
don't
check that for
know.
me. But it wasn't a big deal. I'm like, I have my green cards, I'll just renew. And there was a little bit of patriotism too. I loved being Canadian at the time. And so I'm like, I don't really know if I need to, set roots and do all the thing. Well, now it would be really great to, simply because it's not considered an aggravated felony. However,
For the purpose of the deportation. Yeah.
yes. However, if I leave the country to go see my family, which I can't do, it's been advised for me not to leave
Not
the
to, because
country.
you cannot come
I
back.
may not be able to if someone at the border decides to say, "Oh, you look like my ex-wife, and I just want to create, hell in your life." They could say, "Oh, well, illegal healthcare remuneration falls under." To me, that's considered fraud. I'm not letting you in. Go to your country, and you have to fight your way back in. I don't want to do that. So.
You're locked in, actually, in the U.S. You cannot get out of the country.
Well, it's not that I can't. I can.
You
I
can,
just
but
may not be
there's
able to come back in.
jeopardizing your return.
So I have chatted with some other people who have been in their own situations. Do I consider appealing and trying to get it moved down to a misdemeanor? Do I want to open that wound? Can I? I know that I'd have to wait, or I can wait
10
about
years.
5 years.
5 years to get expunged and also get the parole.
It's not expungement. You can't expunge.
You have to get the parole, I think, from the president to get it.
A pardon?
a
Yes.
pardon, yes.
I don't know. I mean, if you know the president, please hook me
Yes.
up. Yes, to have it completely pardoned. But to get my citizenship, you can wait generally 5 years to show that you have moral character. Like I've never done anything in my life horrible. This I got pulled into and just didn't vocalize. I never told anybody that this was happening. I thought saving my life was more important than going to the authorities and telling them that shit was going on. Not having family here. I thought I knew what I was doing. But so if I believe in 5 years, I'd be able to apply for citizenship.
Open up, actually, at that time? Who just found out?
What do you
that
mean?
system, actually, to find out there is a kickback system between the pharmacy and the doctor.
So that's a good question. So I believe the owner of the company that I was working for, he also sat on the board for HPN at that time, Health Plan of Nevada, which is one of the biggest health payers in the system. And so he was since he was on the board, he was in charge of the expenses and what were approved by certain insurance companies and all of that stuff. So I think it was probably at one of his quarterly meetings that one of the people,
HPN or the investigators, they told him
somehow was
something
just
is
like
fishy.
this is like through the fucking roof. I don't know what your clinicians are doing, but they are charging us like through the asshole for all of this stuff. So he came to me saying, you guys are billing, like this pharmacy is billing all of this information or all of these medications at for a year in advance. And I never wrote yearly quantities for anything. You can only do, I only do 3 months at a time. He changed the prescriptions to make them like a year or 2 years worth. So he was getting like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So apparently what these pharmacists do, these compound pharmacists.
Is he in prison himself? Or
my understanding is he did do a plea. He was sentenced to 13, but when we approached him, like, again, when I had my new attorney about 2 years in, he was still out. So I think that he was playing ball and going undercover or whatever because he still hadn't served. So who knows what happened. I don't know if he ever ended up going in or if I don't know, but he had to pay back like $6 million or something.
Restitution.
The guy that I was involved with, he's in for 8.
And the pharmacy is
The
closed?
pharmacy, oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Or it's still
I
out
think
there?
so. No,
You're
I'm pretty sure.
active. That's
Pretty
interesting.
sure.
So you're in the position that because of that felony, you can't leave the country.
Yeah, and it causes other issues too. It's not very easy
It's
sometimes.
interesting that it didn't affect your license.
It did.
It
Yeah.
did,
So
yes.
so I voluntarily surrendered my license because I didn't trust myself. I thought if this shit happened under my nose, I don't trust that I'm going to be safe to practice. I don't want this to happen again. I didn't trust myself in the system. I'd seen a lot in those 11 years that I was practicing as a nurse practitioner, but this was right there and I didn't even know. I was so naive and so dumb, and then I fell victim to this. I don't want to say I'm a victim, but I believed and unwittingly got involved with someone who became very abusive, and I just was scared to practice again. So I voluntarily surrendered.
For how long?
I surrendered, I think for a year and a half. Or it was, I think once I finally got it back, it was 2 years, but I surrendered it. And after a year, I was doing coaching, and I just, did a lot of healing and trauma work because, I mean, to not be with your family and
How it affected your children?
it was very.
How old? How
My
how old
daughter's
are they?
9, my son is 10.
Then,
They were, I mean, I was very emotional. I mean, going through it when they wanted, when I had people follow me. I had, the feds following me. I had my phones tapped. I had people told me after that they were approached not to talk to me or help me because,
because they are scared that there's something.
yeah. So
It's a bad name.
it was very hard. I was alienated quite a bit. So not only did I was estranged from my parents because I kind of lost them in the divorce. Kind of a long story. My family and I are in good terms now, but I literally didn't even have family. I had my brother from Canada that I would talk to every now and then, but it was a really hard time. I almost didn't make it. I had a bottle of pills in my hands a couple of times. Never attempted, but I was like, this is fucking stupid. I had no idea. I didn't even trust myself. So I had surrendered my license, got it back. So I'm practicing. I would have, I mean, if I wouldn't have surrendered, it probably would have been easier. I wouldn't have necessarily wouldn't have had to obviously wait so long, but yeah, I'm on supervision, and supervision is, I can still, it's just,
You should not commit the same thing or any crime.
yeah, it's not, it's like supervision it's oversight. It's not like I'm limited in what I can do. They have checks and balances because they know that I wasn't involved. I'm not a threat to people. It's me functioning, on the ethics and knowing how to handle behavior
What's
situations.
your recommendation because some people, they get caught actually in this situations and they don't know what to do. You went through that. It's sad. But what's your recommendation is someone like you that didn't know
ask
after
for help, ask for help,
from
ask
whom?
for help, ask for help.
From whom? For example, the medical providers.
Anybody. Just
Anyone?
like I had no one. I literally, like I said, I'm not dramatizing my situation. I'm very much removed from the pain of it. I literally, all I did was go to school.
What you would have done at the time that you found out, for example, about that scam actually differently if it was now? You should just reported it?
I would have, if I had someone that I really trusted, like a close friend or a family member that I was really, felt like I could trust, I would.
What about the medical board? There's no hotline that you can call them as a confidential? Because lawyers, they have it.
Not
For
that
example,
I know
there's
of.
a
I would
dilemma
have
or
talked
something.
to a friend to see if they knew. I know much more now, but I didn't know the confidence of a lawyer. I've never needed an attorney before. I did my own immigration stuff here. Like I did it all myself. I got myself I saved us $10,000 to get in the country. So I've personally never had to deal with an attorney. So if I would have asked somebody if they knew of someone I could speak to about this in confidence where I wouldn't be held responsible because I was so afraid of getting in trouble. And then
There's
I
no
got in so
ethics
much trouble.
hotline for the nurses and the doctors?
I don't, maybe
Maybe,
I've
yes.
never, like, I did ethics courses. I
Because for
don't,
the lawyers, there's the hotline you can confidential. It's confidential. You have to call them and ask them what's this ethics problem I have, or what I have to do, for example, and they make a recommendation. And sometimes you ask
see,
them for a recommendation.
most hospitals have their own internal ethics people. Mine, I worked in outpatient. They don't have necessarily that. I honestly, I should know if there was one. I don't remember ever reading
What
about
about
a
your
particular.
insurance? Actually, malpractice insurance. Sometimes they provide that as well. If you have your own malpractice insurance, they
That
have
could
a
have been.
hotline and they have some consultation confidential. Actually, you can just contact and ask questions. Actually, for the ethics. For lawyers, there is. For the doctor, there is. But I don't know about the nurses.
Well, so this isn't just ethical. There was a crime that was committed that I
It's
was being
ethics, actually.
implicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, but I wasn't. I was really afraid of. At that time,
Losing your
I was
license and
no,
livelihood.
no. I was afraid of dying. I was being threatened by a man and my children. I was being threatened. I was afraid to even call somebody and have any record that I was even talking about ratting on him because of the abuse that I was experiencing. When you have no family, like this is how human trafficking happens. They pluck someone that doesn't have, like they're doing this to children. I heard one of my patients was telling me about their daughter who was being harvested to be removed and human trafficked. They're going through these games like Roblox and some other platform. Like they're insidious with identifying people who are weak and then manipulating them. Like I was in the perfect, horrible situation to fall into that.
Trap.
I had no family. I was completely isolated in a foreign country
No
by
support.
myself, raising 2 children, high needs children. An ex-husband who was a fucking dick to me, going around like posting shit about me, flew to Canada, leveraged my family against me. I mean, deliberate attacks on me and trying to make it in the world for the first time ever. I went from my parents' house to my husband's house. I had never survived on my own ever. All I was a nerd, a mom, a student, a doctor, nurse practitioner, whatever. That's all I knew. No friends. Like he was the entertainment. So I was just emotional. I confided in him. He was there. I'd see him at work. He built a relationship. I thought I could trust this person. So it fucked me up. Not just my life and whatever, but the trust that I had for people and myself in the medical world. It took a long time, and that's why I stepped back from practice because I'm like, there's maybe something wrong with me that I didn't know what to do. I didn't have the common sense life skills to even handle a situation like this, to navigate, to
You get trapped
identify.
with someone that's like this.
No clue. I had
Preying on you.
I didn't even have like friend support. Like that's how dumb I was about like life. I just thought that I guess I could just make it on my own. Life doesn't work that way.
That's interesting and sad at the same time. But you
Yes,
survived. You put it
interesting.
behind your, yeah, you put it behind
Interesting and sad.
yourself. So
Absolutely. And now, from everything that I learned and coming to myself and seeing who I am and having, healed from that and through that healing, built the foundation and learned about myself and developed the skills. Now I help other people understand themselves and work through their
have
problems.
you shared that before with anyone that is a similar situation? They confide to you and say, hey, I had the same situation with you. I was trapped. Got it stuck in this problem. Actually, I couldn't get out.
I have not yet. I do speaking. I've done, I think, 7 global summits last year. But I've never spoken actually out even about my felony. I've talked about the indictment and everything, but not how the felony specifically has impacted my life and my ability to travel. So this
That's
is
a good
new.
subject, and it's something new that you can just help people, because some people possibly approach you to see that what your
Absolutely.
experience is.
Yeah.
Because it affects everyone's life actually around you as well.
Yeah, no, I absolutely would talk about it more because freedom is very important to me. And that's where I came up with this. I'm a freedom facilitator. It's not just freedom legally, right? But it's freedom to be yourself and knowing who that is And with freedom, it's like an extension of self-love. You know, when we understand ourselves and come into ourselves, we can honor. Like I didn't know me. I was living in a way that just was very sad and hurt and asleep. You know, I was asleep to being in the world. So
You chose to be asleep, or you were asleep in some sense that you didn't care at all.
no, it wasn't that I didn't care. I was a very anxious child. I have mental health issues in my family. So there's obsessive compulsive disorder and some tendency for depression. I suffered with that a lot as a teen, as I hit puberty. Now I had tons of anxiety. I was just afraid of so much. And my ex-husband was great with that. He was so much fun, and he was the life of the party, and he handled me so well, and we kind of balanced each other out. And so after I went through all of this, I came to realize that anxiety is afraid of the unknown. And there was so much I didn't know about life. I didn't know it. You know, my parents were children of farmers from the Ukraine. And so you have kids to plow the fields. And so they just, you know, they didn't know what they didn't know about rearing kids. Love my parents. They're amazing people. And so I didn't have certain skills to cope. I didn't have emotional intelligence. I had this predisposition to anxiety. So, you know, I just really was naive and just skillless. I didn't have life skills. So when I was a teen, I would meditate and I would read self-help books and that sort of thing, but still not enough to function in the world, especially Vegas. Canada to Vegas, it's like heaven and hell. Like it was, I talk to people about this. I'm like, I feel like Goldilocks, not going to the Three Bears house, like being thrown into a fucking lion's den. I was chewed up, spit out, you know, eaten by the whatever, the eagles, and just left for dead. But I never died. Like so many times I just wanted to like, just leave me the fuck alone. Let me die in peace. But I would just keep getting like pummeled here and there until I finally was like, okay, I'm not dying, obviously, but if I don't do something and learn how to fucking be a functioning person, a survivor, you're just going to live a very pathetic, horrible, abused person life and miserable. I could have copped out so many times. I could have had sugar daddies and the whole stupid thing that girls do in this town. I don't. I didn't.
You work it.
It is, I was humbled as fuck by my journey. I hit rock bottom. I had to step by step, piece by piece, build my fucking life up. I was living on a couch, someone's couch, for a while. I was homeless, essentially. I didn't even have a home from all of this. So when I didn't have my kids. So it like real shit happened, you know, from all of this. So I would absolutely love to be able to share with other people and have that, I know what you've gone through. It can get better. I can help people certainly with their issues. Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
Come watch my podcast. It's amazing. And if you do have any challenges in life, you want to get to the next level. I'm always about helping people get to the next level in their life, whatever that looks like in health and spirituality and personal development, a crisis that you need to, you know, get through. I can help. I have an enormous amount of tools in all of those areas. LeslieKalyn.com. Hit me up, message me, and I can help you get where you need to go.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. I wish you the best.
My pleasure.
Thank you.